2, 3.
Tell them boy, they nobody get covered in a car fire, just get at it.
DJ Mikey.
Good afternoon and welcome. It's a new edition of Drop the Biscuit, and today I am joined by Desrene Dekker, daughter of the legendary Desmond Dekker, and a singer-songwriter in her own right, and also a graphic designer. Good afternoon, Desrene. How are you?
Good afternoon, Micheal.
Thanks for coming on to the podcast, and we're going to talk a little bit today about obviously some of your dad's work and some of the stuff that you've been doing, especially in recent years. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Desrene Dekker?
Well, first of all, I'm the daughter of Desmond Dekker, and about myself, I've been doing mainly songwriting, and I use that songwriting skills within my graphic design, which I also produce digital and animated leaflets, and I do various different multimedia projects for people online, and I use that skill up to this date because, as you know, graphic design can sometimes get taken over by AI.
Oh wow!
And
yeah,
now
absolutely.
people download templates and things now, so I always have to constantly upgrade myself, and using these skills that I have, these additional skills for the multimedia arena, I'm able to keep my graphic design job and also work as on projects.
Okay, so probably a good place to start today is to talk about obviously the work of your father, and tell me a little bit, when did you realise that your dad kind of was famous and a big deal? When did it come to your realisation that that was the case?
Well, from a little girl, actually. The moment he told me that he wanted me to choose his outfits just before he performs on Top of the Pops, that sort of gave me a clue that there's something special about this dad. You know, when you're that age, at 6, 7 years old, you tend to quite look up to your father and his role, and I realised he wasn't like the other dads, coming home at 6 o'clock for dinner and having things like that. He would be going out of the door at 6 or 7 o'clock to perform.
And did your friends, like at school, know that there was something going on, or that there's something?
As I grew up, as a teenager, I started to realise when he used to come to parents' evening, everybody else would be dressed casually. My dad comes in there with a beret, sunglasses, leather trousers.
He looked like a musician.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they think, wow, who's he?
Yeah.
And that's when I realised that.
And do you remember your first sort of musical memory of him? What was the song that? Oh, I remember that was the first song that was famous and it meant something to me.
Well, the earlier songs, even Israelites, I mean, I was just born by then, but a song that really touched me was Sing a Little Song. Was in the charts at the time when I was that age mentioned, and I picked up an outfit for him to perform that night. So Sing a Little Song was the song that, and he even sung it to me as well, and that's sort of the way he sung it a cappella in my head. It really sort of touched me. And I've always wanted to sing that song, which I will tell you more about.
Absolutely.
That a little later.
And of course, him being such a great singer obviously inspired you to sing.
Yes.
So all your earliest singing, when did you start singing and how did that happen?
He taught me how to play the guitar when I was 7 years old. And I used to play in school assemblies and things like that. And when he used to do his recordings with his guitar, I would we would sit quietly, me and my brother, and watch him.
You were in the studio?
No, in his front room.
In the front room? Wow.
Yes. Okay. He used to do a lot of his own front room recordings before it hits the studio. So, yes. He taught me instrument and how to play the piano as well.
You know, it's interesting, right? Because I interview lots of people. Sometimes they're producers, sometimes they're DJs and stuff like that. And I always ask them if they had a musical household. You obviously did.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. But not everybody does. So it's interesting to see how that inspired you or affected your thing. So at some point you thought, I quite like this singing thing myself. I'm gonna. And you obviously had the confidence to sing at school or play at school.
Yes, I wasn't always confident to sing, but I was always a confident musician. And my dad sort of, as I grew up older, he encouraged me to use my voice more because he thought I had something else other than just being a musician. You know, he wanted to get that inner soul and skill that was hidden behind the music.
Did he consciously keep work and home separate? And what I mean by that is, he's obviously, he said he could be on the road, he could be seeing all these different types of musicians and stuff like that. There's probably going to be some good stuff going on, some bad stuff going on. But did you feel that he consciously kept some kind of distance between home and work?
Yes, he did. We wasn't allowed to go to any of his concerts until he was around about the teenage age group. He kept it tight, that what was strictly his private home. He had nothing to hide. He just wanted to just shut the door and be able to act like a family man. And he was, I have very good memories of him, being the father who he always wanted to be, but it wasn't always easy for him because he had the pressure of also keeping up with his music and his concerts and demands.
So I was reading somewhere the other day about Millie Small, and she obviously was huge, and she had the pressure of being the main breadwinner, not just for her, but like the whole family. So everybody in Jamaica was kind of a little bit, relying on her a little bit to support. Was there similar pressures you feel on your dad, or do you feel that he was able to just focus just on the immediate family?
He was able to separate his family life and his career very professionally. He had that mindset, which not always easy for everybody. Obviously Millie probably had some issues at home, and even a couple of others, Aretha Franklin and Motown artists as well. They had, ups and downs. Tina Turner, all of them, especially women artists back in those days. It was very difficult for the female artists to balance their home, private life, family life, children and everything, and also have a career out there. So I think maybe for my dad back then, it was easier for him to, because my mum was the one that she didn't want to be in the limelight at all.
So she was happy just
she was happy.
The house
they
together.
had an agreement,
yeah.
and that's what made the marriage successful.
Sure. So tell me about you and your first singing memories. How did you get started as a singer?
My first singing opportunity is when I started to join the choir. I think they actually encouraged me to in the church choir.
Okay.
I was able to, because my dad did come to church as well. He was a choir master for one of the churches that we used to attend as a teenager, and he would did encounter a few moments of taking the stage to a next level with my voice, and that's when I realised that I had something there.
So you're quite young, okay? You're playing a bit of guitar in front of
guitar
school.
Yeah, assembly.
Yeah, but it's still a kind of it's not an easy thing to do. You have to be confident, right? So,
yeah.
I know you said you weren't as confident, but you must have some.
I used to hide behind the music.
Okay.
But I was confident when I was playing the music, but when it came to singing, I wasn't confident.
Oh, so singing was so the guitar playing came first and singing came after.
Yeah.
And you wasn't as confident. Why do you think that was?
I think it's because I was just shy in general. I just felt that, the stage presence used to scare me.
It's very interesting you say that.
Yeah, it used to scare me with, looking at people looking at me.
I think there's something about singing that's personal, isn't it? So if you're playing an instrument, it is personal, but you're talking through your instrument.
That's exactly what my dad told me. He says, you're an excellent musician, but there's something about you that you're hiding. Why are you hiding behind the music? And he tried to get that out of me, and eventually he did.
I think it's one of those things, like if you talk to lots of people, they don't really like their own voice. They're a bit funny about, oh, but God, I heard the recording of my voice, I'm not comfortable. And so I think that's a natural thing. I think most people feel like that. Listen, let's play a song, all right? Let's play a tune. What would you like to start off with for our first track?
Well, I'd like to, since we are talking about guitars and my father in the front room, you could play one of the Moving On tracks. This song is called Moving On, and it's on one of his albums called Moving On. It was released by Trojan Records. 1996.
Okay.
But this particular version was done by my brother Desmond Dekker Jr. and he digitalized one of the tapes and actually released it as an album. So it's songs that you've never heard before it became what it is. So I would like you to play that one. That one was that one was recorded in the front room, 1979.
I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Tell my mama, tell my dad I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm moving on, yeah. Tell my mama, tell my dad I'm moving on, yeah. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Tell my mama, tell my dad I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm moving on, yeah. Tell my mama, tell my dad I'm moving on. Well, I don't know where I'm going. Oh no. All I know that I'm gonna find me somewhere where my destiny. I will follow on. So tell my mama and dad I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Tell my mama, tell my dad I'm moving on. Sing my song, I'm moving on. Oh yeah, I'm moving on. Oh yeah, tell my mama, tell my dad I'm moving on. Yeah, yeah.
That was Desmond Dekker and a tune called Moving On. And Desmond, you were telling me that was actually recorded.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that was recorded in your front room.
Yes, that was recorded in our family home in the front room. Me and my brother would sit down quietly and watch him with his guitar and a notebook and pen and Grundig tape recorder.
Grundig, yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
And he would, do dubs and track, recordings actually on those tapes. In those days, that's what you have. You have two tape decks, and you bounce them back and forwards, and forwards until you got like a layers of recording. And we would sit there quietly and watch him composing that song before it gets to the studio.
So that tune, once it got to that level, would have been taken to the studio with the other musicians, and then they'd build it up into sort of a recording.
It would be like a template, a sample template. And he would take it into the studio, and that's where the magic starts to happen.
No, those musicians are great, aren't they?
Oh yes, the musicians back then, and I'm not saying that they're not good now, but the musicians back then, they had to record live. There's no drop-ins and things like that.
Just a take, and
they had to.
They just let the mistakes ride, right? Because
it had the mistakes in the same way.
I actually quite like it, to be honest, because there's that human element to it. It's...
Yes. So you can imagine that they would spend hours in the studio, and I know what it feels like being in 8 hours in the studio, non-stop, without dinner.
So was that the type of thing, watching your dad compose and just record, like you said, on a cassette, kind of, whatever? Was that the sort of thing you thought, whoa, this is really exciting, this is something I would like to do? Or
We just found it exciting because it was just something to watch, other than TV. And back then, there wasn't a lot of other gadgets to play with other than what was available back in the 80s and the 70s. It was just one TV in the house.
probably only about 3 or 4 channels, maybe.
Yes, about 3 or 4 channels there. And so anything like that was quite entertaining.
Sure, yeah. So what was the next step as far as you're concerned? So you kind of got a little bit of a taste, just performing. So basically, your first introduction, if you like, to do music, you perform as a young girl, whether whether it's with a choir at church or whether it's at assembly at school. So what would you say was the next step as far as like your development was concerned?
Well, my second development from that, it did encourage me because I sort of like watch how he plays the guitar, learn new notes. I listen to the technique of his singing, and if you listened carefully to how I sing, sometimes I sound a little bit like him, only a female version. The way he bounces his notes, the way he drags and drops things, and I would experiment. And when I became about a teenager, I started to use those elements in my choir singing, and that's when I realised people said, "Oh, you've got a very unique voice," and I realised I had something there, and that's when I decided to develop that.
Because the choir, you're part of a collective, aren't you? So it still takes a little bit more of a jump to say, okay, that's great, I enjoy singing in the choir, but actually I'm going to pursue something on my own.
Yeah. Every now and again they would give me a front stage, and every time they wanted to do a harmonising group, they would always turn me up loud. Because they want to hear that voice somewhere in that choir. So it was quite a confidence builder up there.
Did you have an idea in your mind of what you might want to do, or was it just, let's just see what happens?
It was just an experiment at the time.
Yeah.
I was still wondering where my platform was. But my dad encouraged me.
Of course, you had a blueprint there, right?
Yes.
You could see what he was doing and what it could lead to, what could happen.
Yes, he really wanted to encourage me in every way, but I was the one that didn't really want to go forward. I was still holding back a little bit, even when I was 18. So he would take me out on tours and things like that. And
did you enjoy that experience, going on tours?
That's hard work.
Okay.
Hard work, because you got to bounce around from hotel to hotel.
I think a lot of people don't realise
that. Drop your
that.
bags, you go and do sound checks. Yeah. There's no time to enjoy the restaurant food.
Not as glamorous as people think, is it, sometimes? No. There is a glamour part to it, but like I said, a lot of it is, you're like, oh, I was in Tokyo, but you might only be there for a day or two, then you go somewhere else. And
no, it's difficult, it's hard work, and you have to really enjoy it and want to do it to keep up with the stamina of the whole event. Otherwise, you'd be just wanting to just not, go on holidays rather than the actual.
It's a mad way of making money when you think about it, but
But if you
it's
enjoy
fun.
it,
Yeah, it's fun.
It's it doesn't matter because the way when my dad was doing it, it was like it was just nothing.
I've never obviously done that. The closest I've got to doing that was when I was doing a music business roadshow, they called it, and we were going around the UK talking about royalties, talking about this, that, and the other, and we had to spend one night in each town. It's actually quite tiring.
Yes.
Because you do the workshop in the day, there's a gig in the evening, you go to sleep, first thing in the morning, get up because you've got to go to the next town.
That's right.
And we did it quite comfortably, and I thought, oh God, I just want to go home now. I've done a week.
That's how I was thinking, because my heart wasn't quite in it. As for the group and my dad, it was nothing. They just took it in their stride. They'd just fall asleep right there with their bags in the airport.
They're used to it though, aren't they?
And they just wake up, 3 a.m, we're there, waiting for our plane. I'll be like thinking about my bed, thinking I should be, sleeping on a nice bed. I'm sitting here in the bench with my bags at 3 a.m.
Yeah, mad.
Trying to grab a sleep.
Do you remember some of the milestone parts of your dad's? Like, obviously, Israelites was the first number one, wasn't it? The
Yes,
first
it
sort of
was.
Reggae number one in the UK. Do you recall that time, or do you remember that time at all? Or
Get up in the morning, slaving for bread, sir, so that every mouth can be fed. Oh, me Israelites, get up in the morning, slaving for bread, sir, so that every mouth can be fed. Oh, me Israelites. When my kids step up and I leave me, darling, she said I was yours to receive. Shut them a tear up choices ago. I don't want to end up like Bonnie and Clyde.
he would have been on. That would have been. Was he on Top of the Pops for that? Yeah.
He came to England to do a concert with Wembley Arena 1968, and then he came back 1969 when the number one happened, and that was the starting point of him being in the UK permanently. And I was only, a few months old, probably about 6 months old or something.
Have you got a recording of that Top of the Pop show, or you haven't?
There is a clipping of him being in the Wembley Arena.
Wow.
In 1968, and an interview actually. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you Google YouTube, you'll be able to see Wembley 1968. You will see a small clipping of him being interviewed, and also a little performance.
Yeah, because I guess in those days, Wembley Arena was a huge deal, right? Because
it was a huge deal. If you can make it there, you're big.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you sort of get into doing what I would call like a normal job, or was you just maintaining a dream to be a singer?
I pursued to do a normal job because the good thing about my father is that he would encourage us, but he also wanted us to have a normal life as well, which is why I did a degree in graphic design, and he allowed me to do that with a combination of my skills, because I studied musicology. I brought all those skills that I...
So you got that, you was doing something creative.
Yes.
And so there's some connection there,
He was happy that I went that way, and he encouraged it. And he said that that is at least you'll be able to have there's a bit of stability.
Yes. I mean, did you, for those of us who don't know, the graphic design industry, how is it structured? Is it do you just join? Is it just like just join regular companies, or how does it work?
I think if you're digital capable and you're very multi-skilled. Before computers, it used to be a multi-skilled area, and it was to be like people who are photographers, people who are illustrators, people who are animators, people who are filmmakers. It can branch from all those things collectively. There used to be a body of people, but now and then as the years grew on, I think from the 60s onwards, graphic design then became a collective of people into one domain. And as you can see, as AI starts to take over, each one of them are now become computers now. They are no longer a body of people doing these skills. You can get Photoshop now, you can get Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, all these softwares that can do everything that these individual people used to be in the past. And that really interested me because I wanted to, I felt that I had the capability of doing all of those things.
Interesting.
So a combination of skills built into one domain. Even my music skills is involved.
So your graphic design skills and music skills were developing side by side at that point. Yeah, sure. Well, listen, let's hear another piece of music. All right, so where would you like to go next?
Well, continuing from the Moving On track, I would like you to play the 1996 track, which is the same title, Moving On. I will let you know where I'm leading to on this, because I got a little surprise after that to release to you and the listeners. So there is a reason why I'm patterning this way of playing.
Got to move on.
That was Desmond Dekker again, moving on, and the studio mix. I'm with Desrene Dekker. Welcome back, Desrene.
Thank you.
That's the second version of Moving On we've played. And
Yes.
I'd like you to just tell us why this particular song is so special for you and why we're playing different versions of this song.
Well, yes, it's almost like a sort of a documentary as to the history of how this song came about, and it was important that I played you the 1979 mix, how it all formulated, and when there is a 1980s version, which was done on an album called Compass Point. But due to time, I sort of skipped along. If you are interested, the album is called Compass Point. You can listen to the 1980s version, which is a more sort of slow-ish
Where was that
sound.
produced?
That was done, I think, 1981 with Palmer. I think... That one was done in Bahamas studio some time ago, and Stiff Records.
Okay.
With Stiff Records,
Yeah.
and they produced that album with Moving On. I prefer this one, which is done in 1996, which sounds a lot more meaty, sort of. And it's got a drive and a kick, and it sounds like you're moving on. It's almost like you're driving a car. It's got the bass is like do 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 do. Like how you would drive in a car and you, because that's how fun my fun-loving my dad is. He will imitate sounds of things that makes him happy, and so. How he created these new sounds is like how he would be in one of his good moods, traveling.
And it's amazing how different cuts of the same song can evoke a different emotion.
Yes.
So it's interesting.
The story behind that is, I think, when he told me why he wrote this song, is that that was. A time when he was young, when he first decided that he wanted to move from St. Thomas to Kingston to find his dream, and to leave the country home that he was living at 16 of age, which is quite young, to decide to leave home into another town to make your dream happen. And that was where he got the idea of that song.
That's interesting because, and if you think about, in my mind, I'm imagining, The Harder They Come, where the Jimmy Cliff character left from country to come to town, and he tried to get into the music business. It's very similar to your father. He would have approached the big studios at the time, and then
Well, yes, he wasn't even thinking musically that he would be even thinking of becoming a singer-songwriter. His main aim was that he wanted to go to town and become a welder.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
He wanted the experience of travelling abroad and working as a steel iron worker in that area, bending iron and making things.
Did he tell you how did the music thing start then for him? Because he's working in the welder shop, he's in town, he's in Kingston. How did that happen?
Well, he was apprentice. It all started off, that's how they used to take on people. But, it wasn't about going to get education. People would want people who want to hands-on skills. You're willing to learn. You join
Jamaicans will try everything. They'll do
yes,
everything,
back then it wasn't about education. Good to have an education, but it was also about your skills, what you're capable of offering. and if you can do it, they will give you a chance. So in his lunch break, with his guys, his peers, which is Jimmy Cliff and Bob Marley, as you know, and a couple of others, they sitting on their lunch break, and my dad would travel with his guitar, because he always had music in him. He said that he used to go church in his local parish, St. Thomas, and he was brought up by his grandmother and various family that encouraged him to be gospel minded, and he always had his guitar. Back then that is their probably their equivalent to what we would have our iPhone to play and listen with a headphone. Yeah. You so bring an instrument.
He's just basically relaxing at lunchtime.
Yeah, relaxing, because you either have a radio or you have an instrument. Somebody would knock a piece of, get a couple of beer bottles and knock a piece of stick to it, and anything could become an instrument at your lunch break. And he used to sing with his guitar. He used to like to have his guitar and play. And they said, oh, gosh, you've got a lovely voice. There's an audition going on down at forgotten the road, Orange Street or something like that. And
which is like, it's in Penally,
Leslie Kong
Jamaica,
is there. And why don't you go for an audition? And that's what led him to give it a try.
Career, I know he did try as well, but Leslie Kong gave him that break, and then the rest is history, isn't it?
Well, yes. What it is that he never really had the intention of trying to become a singer. It was just purely that he was encouraged by his colleagues that give it a try. And when you're sort of thinking, nah, I'm not good enough, I don't think I'm okay. You never say that. My dad said, never say that to yourself, because you just never know.
You don't know. We're very bad at assessing ourselves. Generally, we kind of put ourselves down. Obviously, there's lots of people push themselves up, but vast majority of people, I don't know, they're just not sure. This is something that everyone's going to like. I'm not really sure. And I think that's a natural reaction.
Equivalent to the X Factor or the Britain's Got Talent back then.
The Jamaican version.
The Jamaican
you go outside
version.
the studio and play
like a Simon Cowell,
Yeah.
But that's what Leslie Kong was.
Yeah.
You either got it or you ain't.
And to be fair to Leslie Kong, he gave people chances that other studios didn't. So he had he had a different type of ear. So.
Yes, he was willing to give you a try if you see that you got something there, but you just need that little. That just little open door to that little platform to show what you've got. And he means that to show what you got. You ain't got time. Don't waste his time. My dad said that he's not the type of person that wants to hear a lot of chat and confusion. You either, you go there and you get on with it. You do it.
Yeah, and he was involved in introducing Bob, wasn't he? Bob Marley to Leslie Kong.
That's right.
Yeah.
He introduced Bob Marley to getting auditioned, and immediately Leslie Cole.
Yeah, works produced it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So it's funny about music because it does have that ability to just explode without anybody realizing what's happening, and all of a sudden you're just things are happening at ultra speed, and you've got to figure out what you want to do. But for you, did you at some point decide I can do both graphic design and music, or did you say, okay, now I'm going to try and focus more on one for now?
No, I always had the music with me.
It was always going to be.
It was always going to be music even in the graphic design, because I actually took it up as a subject. When you take a degree, you have to choose elements of different subjects that you're going to specialise in, and I chosen musicology. And I even went so deep into musicology that to a point where I can know what nerves triggers off, even to a doctorate.
What
equivalent.
So just to clarify, are you talking about what types of emotions that
Yes.
music can evoke?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I studied all of that.
Yeah.
And I can compose music that can stir a certain kind of emotion.
Interesting. Yeah.
And sounds and what the mind likes and what the ears don't like, and even your senses. I studied the 5 senses. Yeah. So yes, it went quite deep into the theology side of things.
I think it's time for another records, right?
I think so.
What would you like to play next?
Now I would like to surprise the listeners that an album will be coming up later on this year. I've been in a recording studio, and one of the songs, if you've been listening, the reason for this documentary about moving on is moving on again, but this time with a twist, with my voice rather than my dad's voice, which eventually I think if he was alive, we would have both got together at some point and collaboration, harmonising, because he did like the way I harmonise.
So just to clarify, there's got to be a documentary about this particular track? Or?
Yes.
Right, okay. And that's what you're working on?
Yes, working on. And that is the reason why I'm playing 3 versions of Moving On, which you're going to play in a minute. The one that I've recorded recently in the studio, December. And it's going to be mastered professionally, ready for the outlet of release.
Got to move on. Tell my mum, tell my dad I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Got to move on. Tell my mum, tell my dad I'm moving on. I'm going higher ground. Oh, that's where I'm bound. My destiny left me to. One's got to do what one's got to do. I cannot give up just now. Got to pull through somehow. Tell my mum, tell my dad I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Got to move on. Tell my mum, tell my dad I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Got to move on.
That was Moving On, of course, sang by Desrene Dekker. And welcome back, Desrene. We talked before the break about the fact that you were working on a documentary.
Yes.
When is that likely to be released or published?
Well, that is an ongoing thing. We actually thinking of collaborating a biography sort of element, which involves a book as well, book project. So this combined documentary and book project should be released later on this year. If you check out my website, is www.reverbnation.com/Desrene Dekker. If you go on that website and you click on events and other subjects, you will be able to see the oncoming dates of new releases and projects that's going to be released there. So you'll be live all the time and you'll be updated. Also, you can check my Facebook, which is facebook.com/Desrene D1.
Mm-hmm.
Or my Instagram, Desrene Dekker _official.
Okay.
Those would be released live.
Sure.
And so that you be able to keep up with the upcoming events.
Yeah. So just go back to that track. We're gonna move on a little bit. Just to clarify, right? So where was that recorded, and who were the musicians, and who produced it?
Yes, I used the musicians with the Aces, the Desmond Dekker's Aces band, Leroy, Clinton Rock, the guitarist. Leroy is the original drummer for Desmond Dekker band. And there's a couple of others. Bass Austin. He used another one's called Spy.
Mm-hmm.
Aubrey.
Right? Aubrey's on the
there's keyboards. Yeah.
So, and who was the producer? Was it who produced it, or where was it recorded? Or
it was produced in recorded in Perry Studio. That is based in Brockley, southeast London.
Yeah.
And but they've closed down now because the guy that had the studio, he's passed away. So it's got sold off. So we have to now move on to a new studio. But, God bless him. He allowed us to use the studio even after he passed away.
The family were okay.
Yeah, the family allowed him to allowed us to record.
Yeah,
there.
okay. So you've obviously kept great relations with the Aces because you perform obviously in the studio and you also perform quite a lot live with them, right?
Yes.
So that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, the Aces band that I've played with in the recording studio is Leroy Green. He's a drummer. Clinton Rock. He was never a member of the Aces, but we use him at the moment because he did play some tributes with Delroy Williams, and he's an excellent guitarist. But there is other guitarists that was involved in the Aces band. There's Aubrey, the keyboard player, and bass Austin, which is called Spy.
Yeah. So I want to move on a little bit now. Right? Talk about the recent work that you've done with Croydon, like the Rewind exhibition.
Yes.
So for those who don't know, just tell us what that was all about and what happened.
Well, the Rewind exhibition was to another documentary about who were the creators, musical creators in the borough. Now, Croydon Museum had started off something very small, which was just about who made a difference in the borough of Croydon. I went to that exhibition and I introduced myself to one of the staff members. And
was that Kat?
And that it wasn't Kat at first. It was one of the front desk. Mandy Smith.
Okay.
She was the front desk, and I introduced myself and I said, "Oh, I'm the daughter of Desmond Dekker. I've come. I see you've got one of his pictures there." And they said, "Oh my goodness, hold it there. Let me call one of my boss." So her boss was Abby at the time. Abby then introduced me and said, "Look, we've got to organise an interview with you. A meeting with the top." And bring it to the board, which is Kat, and the mayor, and let him know that, we've actually met physically the daughter of Desmond Dekker. So next thing you know, I was having a meeting with them and the Rewind exhibition was born. I said that I've got skills in graphic design and I got artifacts of Desmond Dekker. And this is excellent. Right. We're going to start something. Then the project just grew and grew, and it developed from there. And
because because it's finished now, isn't it?
Yes.
But I went down there a couple of times, and for those who hadn't, I don't know what's going to happen, if it's going to be hosted somewhere else, I'm not sure, but it's a bit like like when the Hard Rock Cafe came and everyone was all the sort of famous musicians gave them little artifacts and little things that could help. And so tell us some of the things that was contributed as far as Desmond was concerned.
Yes,
some of the items.
The items that we donated to the exhibition was his sunglasses, one of his famous sunglasses, his beret, and his costume, a full stage costume, a shiny black shirt that he always liked. In his later years, always likes to stage. It sort of camouflages into a shiny, sort of flickery sort of number, and his bullet belt and the leather trousers and shoes. And some of the other artifacts we donated was his mixer that he would have in his family home, and a leather jacket, that's one of his leather jackets that he would perform in, and lastly the keyboard.
Okay.
The keyboard that he would
So
dropped all his ideas.
So I did an exhibition there with my professor, and it was done initially as a projects at Fairfield Halls and we moved it to the museum. And the logistics of doing it, it's actually quite complicated, isn't it? Because you have to sign things over and you have to figure out when to deliver them.
That's right. All that was involved.
But you're a graphic designer, so you kind of know, or you can get a feel of how you want it to appear. And there were loads of other musicians who also were
Mad
part of that
Professor.
rework.
And there was Nadia Rose. She's a rapper. And Still Shady. He's a young. These two are young artists, upcoming. Actually, they're already out there. You know, some of them have already on the music awards and stuff.
So it's a great exhibition.
So it was old and new coming together. But they're all the people and that lived in Croydon Borough came together and donated their
it's good fun.
Their stuff, and it was a very good, successful comeback for the exhibition because they closed it after the COVID.
Okay, yeah.
They completely closed the museum area, and it never opened again for 2 years or 4 years. It stayed closed. And they only opened the front area near the library. And that's where I went and saw a small picture of my dad there, and they tried to start something. But I sort of came there with my bulldozing graphic design full of ideas and sparked off something that they didn't think was going to happen again.
Do you think it will happen again, or...?
They've got ongoing things going on now. I mean, since then the exhibition has been open to other projects and that. But I feel another one will be coming soon. And Lewisham Council also is thinking about taking up my idea of doing an exhibition. So watch the space.
Watch the space, absolutely. Well, let's hear another piece of music. And what would you like to play? So we've got Sing a Little Song, Key to My Heart.
It could be like for the album.
Which one?
Sing a Little Song.
Okay, tell us a little bit about this track. What's the background to it? And
there's a reason why I would like to release this song, Sing a Little Song. It's a song that my dad always sung to me as a little girl, and I grew up in many times when I had to face trials and all sorts of dilemmas when I was a teenager. That song used to encourage me somehow, and the album that I'm looking to release this year will contain this song, and this is a new version of my dad's original song, Sing a Little Song, to my song. When your heart is filled with sorrow, sing a little song. Now come on, now sing a little song. When you're worried and feeling heavy laden, sing a little song. Now come on, now sing a little song.
Desrene with a tune called Sing a Little Song, a version of her father's Sing a Little Song. Welcome back, Desrene, and we're in the final stretch. Just a couple of things I want to talk about. Obviously, with Croydon, the exhibition was good. There's also a Heritage Trail as well, wasn't there?
Yes, that's
Talk a
right.
little bit about that music heritage.
The Heritage Trail was set up before the exhibition, which also contributed why the exhibition existed. It eventually existed because it was like I said, it started off as a small thing, as the trail. Then they launched, a few pictures by the library area, and the music trail is to show you all the different artists. You can go on Croydon
I guess if you
Museum.
Google Heritage Trail, Music Heritage Trail. Croydon.
Yes, yeah, that's it. If you Google that, it will give you the website leading to that, and it actually tells you a story, leads you to the different areas. Even the Queen's Park, I think, is just opposite the Fairfield Hall theatre. There is a wall down below that has paintings, a spray painting, wall painting of all the artists.
Murals.
A mural,
Murals,
yeah, that's it. And Desmond Dekker's one of them that they sprayed there.
That's great, isn't it?
And there's going to be a lot more other things leading to it, so it's worth keeping an eye on that, because not only the Rewind exhibition was taking place, we had a street festival with puppets of all these artists, and they were dancing. If you check my Instagram, there is a clipping of some of the artists, and especially my dad, big giant puppet, dancing to You Can Get It If You Really Want, and a beacon of light, sort of like one of those laser lights on the clock tower, a picture of him and Nadia Rose and all the other artists up there. And so they do have constant different events, ongoing events that will highlight these great artists in Croydon
Contribution
area.
to music, yeah.
But it's not just Croydon. I'm looking to expand to other areas where my dad also based in Lewisham. We did live in Forest Still. So there will be documentaries and a trail thing coming up for that as well.
Yeah.
And murals.
Absolutely.
And we did one at Desmond Dekker Day mural, but just a day of Desmond Dekker's music in a park called Tremble Park Gardens in Thornton Heath. That's his last residence. And it was a lovely day. I mean, you can see highlights of that as well on YouTube, on my YouTube and Instagram. So there's constant tributes of that. There was a mural there and also a concert. And people was eating Jamaican food and all sorts. It was a lovely day.
Think I never see you when you jump over the wall. You think I never see you when you accidentally fall. Me say, I make you poppy, you bitter gall. Why you accidentally fall? Is she crying out for ice water? she crying out for ice water.
So I should mention before we go on, we're coming towards the end, but I should mention that you're quite a talented family because obviously you've got Desmond, you've got yourself.
Yeah.
But your uncle's George, right? Is that your,
Yes,
your
Uncle George.
Dekker? Yeah,
Desmond.
Tell us about Uncle
George Dekker.
I'm trying to get him to do an interview. Yeah, we'll get there. I'm still chasing.
Yes, I haven't met much of him because my main meeting with him was when I was younger. But the last time I saw him was just after my father's, when my father passed away. I think he came to the funeral, and we did a tribute with Delroy Williams and a couple of other the Aces band and people who worked with Desmond Dekker. That was the last time I saw George Dekker, and he did a couple of tributes on the platform. We went to Norway. There was a festival, a massive festival there in Norway, and we all travelled together there.
And we should mention, of course, that he's part of the Pioneers, which are also got a great musical heritage.
That's
themselves.
right. Yes.
So, we talked about the documentary. Mm-hmm. You're also doing a book, is that correct?
Yes, we've been doing a book on. It's been taking a couple of years now to.
Is that a biography?
A biography, yes.
How are you finding it? What's the who you're working with to do it?
It's hard work, really, because it's you have to. It's very sensitive information, and we have to. It's a matter of getting everything correct, all the information.
Because people will correct you if
yes.
you get it wrong. Yeah.
So we are very careful about how we're doing this biography. It's going through checks and making sure that the images that we're using are original images that my dad kept as his personal archive.
Yeah.
So when we are due to release that will be an exciting new discovery for a documentary and a discovery of the true identity of Desmond Dekker and his journey
and
to a career.
We mentioned it before, but obviously if you want to keep on top of events and things that Desrene's working on, if you could repeat your social media,
the social media
website,
to keep in touch with for future events is www.reverbnation. I'll spell that for you. REVERBNATION. reverbnation.com/Desrene Dekker.
Okay.
And it will take you straight there to my website, and you can keep up with all the new upcoming news and events that is constantly going. You can also check my Facebook again, facebook.com/Desrene D1, or you can go on my Instagram, Desrene Dekker _official.
Great.
So those are three sites that you can keep up with what's going on.
Come to the end, and our last tune is KTMH, Key to My Heart, Great
Yes.
I Am. So tell us about this particular track.
Well, this particular track is a definite yes to be included, because just before he passed away, I played this song to him via keyboard and my voice, and he felt so in love with this music and the way I sung it, and he said, Desrene, I've got to get you into the studio and record this song, and me and you collaborate something on this, but it never really happened because shortly he passed away due to a heart attack. So it sort of broke my heart a little bit.
So this song has
And
special meaning.
it has a special meaning, and this song would have been out there if he was still alive today. So here is a little taster of things to come. I had professional violinists called Icon Strings. They're quite famous. They do their professional quartets. I had them in the studio, recording studio, and I had Liz Micheal is a female saxophone player. Very, very good.
Yeah.
Worth looking her up as well. Had, special artists come in to do that song for me. The Aces band did it for me, and they just nice it up for me, just enough.
Yeah.
And it's worth listening to.
And is this song going to be released as part of the
Yes,
album?
a part of the
Yeah.
album, yes. And a documentary will also be following regarding that and how it all came about.
Well, Desmond, it's been a pleasure having you on the pod, and
Yes.
thanks for coming along, and wish you all the best going forward with all the projects you've got going on, so it's all good.
Yes, thank you very much, Michael. It was a pleasure being here.
You're very welcome. So this is Key to My Heart, and Desrene, speak soon.
Thank you.
The great time. You have the key to my heart. Yeah, you are the only one who saved my sinful nature. You have the key to my
life of a son.